Hi, I'm David.
And I'm Rachel.
Welcome to Leisure Bit. And today we're coming to you from Sealshore Campsite, which is in Kildonnan on the Isle of Arran. So let's go and take a look around. We begin our journey where we left off last time, arriving at Lochranza, and then we head down to Brodick, take a look around the castle. We then head to Sealshore Campsite on the south of the island. We also visit Lochranza Castle, the Heritage Museum, as well as a number of other places while we're on Arran. So let's begin the journey now, arriving at Lochranza on the Isle of Arran. The ferry's a turn up and go service operated by Calmac that comes into Lochranza. There's a link in the description for more information on the ferry service. So we've now arrived in Lochranza and we're heading down the east coast in the direction of Brodick. It took us about half an hour to get from Lochranza to Brodick, and we were just taking our time. We then arrived at Clydach, where there was plenty of parking and shops to have a look around, and even somewhere to grab a drink and a bite to eat. A scale model of Goat Fell, and just outside here you can catch the footpath up to Goat Fell Mountain. It takes about 4 or 5 hours. There's the Arran Brewery, and there's also the pedestrian entrance into Brodick Castle, which you head up these steps to. There's a charge for admission to the castle and the gardens, and I'll pop a link in the description so that you can check out the latest pricing. It was a lovely walk through the parkland, and it took us about 5 to 10 minutes to get to the castle. Brodick Castle was built around 1510, but the site's been in use since around circa 400 AD. It was built by the Earl of Arran, and it was in use until 1958. There's a lot more to see and do, and you could spend a whole day here with the family, and it's well worth a visit. You can see Brodick Bay from the parkland around the castle. You can see the car park where we parked. Looking across here you can see towards Goat Fell. We then headed back down the steps the way we came up, and then back towards the car park, and then we decided to stop at Wineport for a drink and some lunch. I decided to have the mac and cheese and Rachel had the scampi, and both were delicious. After we'd finished lunch we headed a few hundred yards down the road to Home Farm Visitor Centre and went to Arran Aromatics, had a look around there and grabbed some Arran mustard from the Arran cheese shop, which is delightful. We then continued on through Brodick, which you can see here. You can just see the ferry port. And then we arrive at Sealshore Campsite and we're escorted to our pitch, which was in the middle of the site. And as you can see, pretty much all the pitches have fantastic views. And on a clear day, you can see Pladder, which is the first island. And then further out, you can see Ailsa Craig. So we got ourselves settled and set up, ready for camping for the next couple of days. And started with a little explore around the site. You can see Pladder there. It gives you a little bit of perspective of the size of Sealshore Campsite. Once we got set up, wandered across to the Kildonnan Hotel, which is next door to the campsite. They do bar snacks and drinks there, and you can either sit inside or outside. As you can see, there's plenty of places to sit. Cheers! In the hotel grounds on the way back to the campsite, there was an interesting, what looked like a stone circle. Let's take a look from above now. Plada there. If we take a look now from the sea back towards the site, you can see the hotel on the left there and the campsite on the right hand side. So you can often see seals at Seal Shore Campsite, hence the name, and you can just see there in the middle of the screen, you can see a seal. We also saw some otters while we were there, but they were camera shy. Let's take a look around the campsite now and have a look at the facilities. There was a waste and recycling point located near the entrance. There are a number of shower cubicles which are really handy if you've been out on the water. There's a chemical disposal point just a bit further along there. There's also a laundry. The facilities block was nice and clean and tidy and had the usual what you'd expect, such as wash basins, loos and showers. A day room on site, which is really handy if you fancy a little bit of a break from the van for a little while. I believe there's Wi-Fi available as well in case you wanted to catch up on your emails, or maybe you just want to relax and read a book. There was also some useful information in the room. Just outside the room there was a place where you could have a barbecue, and these are located just near the entrance to the site. If you go to the end of the track which leads down to the campsite, there's a bus stop and it allows you to catch a bus around the island. You can take a walk back to the campsite along the shore side. It's worth being careful though, as there were some big holes in the seaweed covered rock as you walked along, and ended up knee deep at one point. And here we are now back at the campsite. I think it's probably time to make some breakfast. Can't beat it. Cooked breakfast, cooked outside on the campsite with a beautiful sea view. Let's have a look at that sea view. It was a really beautiful morning and a great day to go around the island. So today we were heading up the west coast of the island, round through Kildonnan, which we're just heading through now. Then you take a left on the main road. A little way along you come to the Lag Distillery. We continued round the south of the island, then up the west coast. There was plenty of places you could make a stop on the west coast and just take a few moments to admire the scenery. We then headed on our way round to Loch Ranza. So here we are now, we've arrived at Loch Ranza Castle. We parked just at the end of the track down to the castle, but you can drive further along if you wish to. There's a lovely view over the bay at Loch Ranza. Loch Ranza Castle dates back to the 13th century, but most of it was built in the 16th century. As you wander along to the castle, you can see more and more around the bay. You can also see the ferry terminal we came in on yesterday. And if you look inland, there's also some really nice views. some really quaint houses in Lochranza. The remains of the castle have fencing around to stop you going too close to it due to the risk of falling debris. Let's have a look over the castle now. After visiting Lochranza Castle, we then headed down the road a little way to the distillery. There was plenty of space to park at the distillery. There was also some picnic benches out if you fancied having something to eat and eating it outside. This is the gift shop at the distillery, which had lots of lovely gifts. There was also a cafe at the distillery and obviously the tasting experience. I went to get a cup of coffee in the cafe and unfortunately the power went off just as I got to the front of the queue, so unfortunately had to wander back to the van and make myself one in the van. After stopping at the distillery, we then headed back in the direction of Brodick down the east coast of the island. We were heading for the Arran Heritage Museum today, as we wanted to have a look around and learn a bit more about the heritage of the Isle of Arran. I'll pop a link in the description so you can find out more about the museum. The cost when we were there was £5 per adult. There's also a cafe there as well where you can get snacks too. Here's a look around now to give you a view of some of the things you can see at the museum. After a lovely look around the museum, we headed back to Seal Shore campsite. Roxy then wanted to go for a paddle in the water. We decided to have a wander along to Kildonan so that we could have a look and see what was there. There's a small children's play area, a community centre. There's a nice bit of sandy beach just past the War Memorial. Spotted just near the community centre that there was a bell. So we decided to give it a ring. Well, you have to, don't you? Roxy then got really excited and started digging a hole on the beach. And then we headed back to Seal Shore campsite, and Roxy had a lovely time running along the beach. We then got back to the campsite, settled in for the night, grabbed something to eat in the Kildonan Hotel, and then it was the next morning, and unfortunately it was time to head on our way. We parked up for a few minutes in Brodick before joining the queue for the ferry terminal. There was a co-op just opposite, which was really handy, and also a number of other shops, albeit they weren't open at this time in the morning. It was now time to go and catch the ferry. So we checked in for the ferry, and then we headed into the queue. We were put in lane number 6, and then when we were ready to board, it was a fairly straightforward process, and the people guide you where you need to go. If you haven't been on a ferry before, it's not as daunting as you might think. On the ferry from Brodick to Ardrossan, you have to actually leave your vehicle. You can't stay in your vehicle when you're travelling on the ferry. So we locked up, making sure not to set the alarm, and then went up on the deck. We very soon got underway on our voyage across from Brodick to Ardrossan, and you can just see the Brodick harbour there and the hills and mountains of Arran. And I thought, let's finish this Scotland trip with style, or maybe not style, but let's finish it with a breakfast. I treated myself to a full English breakfast. How about that? And hats off to the chef, because it was absolutely delicious. Roxy was relaxing in the pet area, and we were now coming into Ardrossan Harbour, and it was windy, and it was a little bit bouncy on the way in, as you can see there looking out the window. Wouldn't like it in a big storm there. And an absolutely lovely trip to the Isle of Arran, which I cannot recommend highly enough. Don't forget, if you haven't seen the other Scotland series videos, you can catch them in the playlist for Scotland. Well, after about a 50-minute journey, we're now arriving at Ardrossan Harbour. So Rachel, what did you think of Seal Shore campsite on the Isle of Arran?
I've loved it. It's been really nice, very relaxing. The site's great, right on the beach with gorgeous sea views. Facilities are really good, and I really like Arran as an island. It's been lovely just going around. We found some great places to eat. There's a hotel right next door, so 2 minutes away, to go and get a drink, something to eat, etc. It's been lovely. What about you?
Yeah, it's absolutely delightful. It's been lovely. So it's not as bright today, but it's still lovely. Nice and green as well on the island. We had a lovely ride round it as well and stopped at a number of places. It's a beautiful island, beautiful campsite, and couldn't recommend it any higher. Thank you for watching.
Hope you've enjoyed it.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.